heart of the Appalachian Mountains, where winding roads vanish into mist and time seems to stall, there once stood a village, cloaked in shadow and silence. Black Hollow. A name scarcely spoken now, barely found on any map, and yet it clings to the whispers of old men and fading newspapers like a ghost desperate not to be forgotten. It was here, between 1971 and 1983, that 19 men, all husbands, died under circumstances so peculiar, so eerily patterned, that even those who stayed behind dared not speak of it aloud. Their wives, all 19 of them, survived. Each death isolated by time, yet intimately connected by pattern. Accidents, they said, illness, misfortune. But Black Hollow knew better. The village held its breath for 12 years. And when the final husband was buried, so too was the truth. Black Hollow wasn't always a place of death. It was once a mining community, born out of coal and sweat in the late 1800s. Families came with nothing but dreams, building their homes into the hillside, laying wooden planks and stone foundations that would hold for generations. By the 1960s, though the mines had long since dried up, the village persisted, sustained by tradition and isolation. They didn't take kindly to outsiders. New faces were met with polite nods, but never open doors. They had their ways, their routines, their rituals, some of which hadn't changed since the town's founding. But no one ever expected what would come next. The first death was seen as a tragedy. Joseph Hartley, 43, found dead in his barn, pinned beneath a beam that had seemingly fallen on its own. His wife, Clara, said she had gone to fetch water and returned to find him cold. There was no storm that day, no wind strong enough to topple timber. Still, it was ruled an accident. Then came Arthur Wells, 39, found drowned in a shallow creek near his home. No sign of struggle, no alcohol in his system. His wife Mabel said he went out for a walk and never came back. 2 months later, Clyde Jenkins, 48, died of what was called a massive stroke. But the local doctor, who'd seen him just days earlier, swore he was in perfect health. 3 deaths in less than 6 months. And still, no one connected the dots. It wasn't until the 6th death, another sudden heart attack, another healthy man, that the whispers began. People started to ask questions in hushed tones, behind closed curtains. All the victims were men, all married. All their wives were part of the same church circle. The chapel, at the end of the road. St. Eliza's, once a place of Sunday hymns and potlucks, became something else. Lights were seen there at odd hours, candles flickering long after midnight. Singing. Not the joyful kind, but low, droning chants that carried on the wind. The sheriff at the time, Emmett Crowley, began keeping records. He didn't believe in curses, he said, but he believed in patterns. His notes, later found tucked in a drawer of his abandoned home, described unusual behavior among the widows. Gathering at strange hours, avoiding eye contact, and their peculiar calm at each husband's funeral. No tears, no questions, just silence. Crowley filed reports, requested autopsies that were never performed, and sent letters to the state office that were never answered. He vanished in 1979. Some say he retired early. Others say he left because he knew something he couldn't live with. What tied these women together was not just their grief, but their unity. Each lived within a short walk of the other. They visited only amongst themselves. They used the chapel for their meetings, which they claimed were Bible study. But when one outsider, a traveling pastor, asked to join them, he was found the next morning outside town, disoriented and mumbling about voices in the dark. He never returned. By 1983, 19 men were dead. The town, once home to over 200 people, had dwindled. Families left. Children moved to cities. No new babies were born. And yet, the widows remained. They tended to their gardens, kept their windows clean, attended church, and never spoke of what had happened. In 1985, the chapel burned down. No cause was found. No one claimed to have seen the fire start. The women stood in a line outside as it turned to ash, watching in silence as if mourning something only they understood. After that, the meeting stopped, or moved elsewhere. A journalist named Henry Dorsey came to investigate that same year. He'd heard the stories, seen the names, and wanted to uncover the truth. He stayed for 3 weeks, interviewing the remaining townsfolk, taking photographs, even speaking with 3 of the widows. His last journal entry, written 2 days before he disappeared, read, "They know I'm getting close. There's something buried here, not just in the ground, but in their hearts. And it's ancient." Doshia's car was found abandoned on the edge of the forest. His notes, typewriter, and camera were still inside. But he was never found. The investigation lasted a month, then 2, and then it was forgotten. Today, Black Hollow is more myth than place. The homes still stand, though many are overtaken by ivy and rot. The roads are cracked. The sign welcoming visitors has long since faded. But some say the widows are still there, or their daughters, or something that wears their faces. Hikers report strange figures in the trees, lights where no electricity runs. A woman in black watching from a distance, vanishing if approached. There are those who believe the village made a pact, that the women offered something to keep their land, their peace, their power. Others say it was justice, that the men were not as innocent as the records claim, and some believe that Black Hollow is simply cursed, built on soil that remembers every drop of blood it's ever tasted. Whatever the truth, one fact remains. 19 men went into the ground, and their widows never left. They kept the silence, they kept the secrets, and if you wander too close, you might hear them, still singing, still watching, still waiting. This is the story of the 19 widows of Black Hollow. And it's not over, not yet. But what if Black Hollow was not just a village, but a vessel? A place where grief became ritual, and silence became its own kind of language. In the years following the last death, those who remained were changed. The widows did not age the way others did. Their hair silvered, yes, but their eyes never dulled. They moved with the calm grace of people who had seen beyond the veil and returned whole, if not unscathed. Their homes, modest and weather-worn, were always perfectly kept. No dust, no weeds. Their windows glowed with warm candlelight long after the sun had set, even when no power lines had run through the village in decades. Those who visited rarely stayed long, often citing strange dreams, nausea, or the overwhelming sense of being watched. One man, a cartographer assigned to remap the area, claimed to see the same figure in every clearing. A woman in black, holding a candle, standing motionless just beyond the tree line. He drew her into his notes as a marker. Widow Watch. The name stuck. Legends grew. Campfire stories twisted the truth into fable. They said the widows had made a deal with something deep in the earth, that they had traded their husbands' lives for eternal protection, that they spoke to the dead, or worse, carried them within. But the truth, if there ever was one, is likely more human and more horrifying. A visiting professor of anthropology, Dr. Louise Weller, theorized the women had revived an ancient matriarchal order, blending Appalachian folk magic, ancestral rituals, and collective trauma into something powerful and utterly untraceable. Her paper was rejected by 4 journals. She died 3 months later of what officials called a brain aneurysm. Her last notes, found scrawled in the margins of her manuscript, read, "It wasn't grief, it was initiation." The forest grew thicker, the village grew quieter. And then, in 1994, something changed. A letter arrived at the county office. No return address. Inside was a single sentence typed in red ink. The 20th is coming. Authorities searched the area, found nothing, but within 2 weeks, a man hiking through the region disappeared. His body was found 8 months later, bones arranged in a perfect circle, a wedding band placed atop his skull. No one claimed him. No wife came forward. But in Black Hollow, another candle was lit. Those who speak of the widows now do so carefully, in forums, in footnotes, in whispered recollections. They are more myth than memory, and yet more real than most are comfortable admitting. Some believe the women died long ago. Others say they live still, in the woods, beneath the ground, in the wind that creeps through broken shutters. A filmmaker once tried to document the village. His footage was recovered, corrupted. The final frame showing 19 silhouettes standing in the chapel ruins. He never finished the project. His editor said he became obsessed, mumbling about voices that know your name. He was institutionalized in 2007. There's one lesson Black Hollow teaches, it's that silence is never empty. It is a container, a pressure, a weight, and the widows filled it with something powerful. Whether it was vengeance, grief, or devotion, we may never know. But their presence lingers, in stories, in shadows, in the sudden chill that settles on your neck when no one is behind you. The 19 widows of Black Hollow are more than legend. They are a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones who never raise their voice, never bare their teeth, but simply stand and watch and wait. So, if you find yourself wandering the Appalachian woods, and the mist grows too thick, and your compass spins without reason, turn back. Do not follow the candles. Do not answer the singing. And if you see a woman in black at the edge of the trees, don't run. She already knows you're here.